In the 70s, the value of the naira is equivalent to the value of the dollar.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
So it's not
those days we were doing so well in Nigeria that those of us in the middle classes used to take our family on holidays to Europe every summer. In fact, I took my children to Disneyland in America 3 separate times. Money. Every 3 houses is church because they're not concerned about religion. They tell people who are gullible enough to listen to them to bring 10% of their salary every month. And then they will show them the road to heaven. The man always say want to show somebody the road to heaven. He don't go there before. There's one man called Adeboye. He said that if you don't pay tithe to him, you don't go heaven. Now they control the door of heaven or what? I mean, it's ridiculous. And this man is an academic failure because I remember him slightly when my wife was a senior lecturer at Timid. I had a big job in government then. Those days it was not fashionable to have 2 cars in the family. So when I close in Lagos, I had to come and wait in the staff club at Timid for my wife to finish.
Okay.
This man is a timid man because afterwards when I had but this man, because we used to spend time in the Unilag staff club, we're talking politics, shouting and so on. So I asked him, this Adeboye, he must have been around that time. He said, yes. And because that man, he said, somebody used to talk dwe, you can't hear.
Wow.
So I remember him. Now, can I tell you how that church came about, how he came to that church? There's another subject.
That because I don't want us to lose track.
Anyway, the founder of that church is an Ondo man. This man was recruited only to help them.
Okay.
But he took over the church after the death of the actual founder of the church.
Okay.
And it now turned it into a Kentucky Fried Chicken or Coca-Cola franchise business. That is what is happening. That is no longer a church, it's a business. Another man there, I didn't know him at all, I didn't see him at all at Unilag. But he said he created a church called Mountain of Fire. Now I want to say something, I have a keen interest in religion. I've read many holy books in different, of different cultures, and I've read the Bible several times. First of all, the Old Testament is not part of the Bible. The Old Testament is Jewish history. It has nothing to do with Christianity. In fact, the Jews killed Jesus Christ now. They never accepted his teaching. So you cannot quote something from the Old Testament to buttress any part of Christianity. The Old Testament is not. So the teaching of Christ is actually in the New Testament, right? And the key to the whole religion is something called the parable of the Good Samaritan, which I have pondered on. There are some things I still don't understand after many years of meditation, of trying to understand, like the parable of the prodigal son. It's hard. So this man, Jesus Christ, if he was a man, he was not a man. He came in the guise of a human being, according to the religion. He never said anybody should create a church anywhere. He didn't create any church. He said that God is everywhere. According to him, if you will go into a forest and you whisper, God will hear you. So this question, Nigeria now, they build big churches. There's one young man who died in a plane crash some time ago. This young man, Wigwe, no, it's not Wigwe, is a founder of one of the big bank in Nigeria. This young man built a house of 80 billion naira, understand, for himself and his family alone in Ikoyi. They gave billions to one church in Lekki called the Parish of St. David or something like that. How can anybody be mad enough? There are no industries, there are no factories. And you're going to invest in church building. What good does it do? This boy, after building this his 80 billion naira house and opened it with his fellow rich men, he died in a plane crash. He didn't live in that house.
No.
But I hear some young boys who claim to be musicians now buying cars of 300 million naira, 600 million naira. What's the good of that? A car takes you from one place to the other. So a car that costs 700,000 naira will take you to the same place as a car that costs. So in fact, why is it allowed? Why are people allowed to waste our foreign exchange buying? That shows that this government is useless. In fact, the government itself, the people in the Senate and so on, they buy Jeep bulletproof jeep of I don't know how much, you know, but they're idle people. I'm telling you, the government people in Nigeria are idle, and they are thief, Olori, Oloshi. They are.
I don't vex for them.
I don't vex. International.
Okay. So I'm still going back to the Japa-da.
Okay, now when I came home, I wasn't comfortable like I was in Europe.
He wasn't comfortable as he was in Europe.
I wasn't comfortable.
But those are saying, you must have billions, you must have this, you must have, everybody's plan will be different. That's it. I wanted to,
not only that, in the 70s, the value of the naira is equivalent to the value of the dollar.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
So it's not
and those days we were doing so well in Nigeria that those of us in the middle classes used to take our family on holidays to Europe every summer. In fact, I took my children to Disneyland in America 3 separate times.
Wow.
Yes. You know, that is the era in which General Gowon, who is a good man, is the best president we've had in Nigeria. He didn't steal Gowon. Yakubu Gowon, they call him Gowon. He didn't take a penny of public fund. He didn't take what I'm the living witness.
Okay.
He said that money is not our problem in Nigeria. It's how to spend it. That is how to plan properly to spend it. And in the middle of that they had something they call Udoji Award. That is, they revised the salary scale of everybody, and even gave people 5 years arrears of that. So that's when you see somebody riding along the marina on a bicycle, carry fridge on top of his head. That is Udoji Award. It's a wonderful time. Things begin to spoil from the time of Ibrahim Babangida. Ibrahim Babangida is responsible for a lot of things that have gone wrong in Nigeria. But he's sitting down in his mountain top in Mina, and you know the Nigerian journalists are shameless. The Nigerian journalism has become mercenary something. So every year, every 3 months, they go to him. They say, this elder statesman, he should talk about the country. Obasanjo himself is totally shameless. He was in power for 8 years. Anything he want to do, he should have done that. But now he always comes to advice. Somebody who has failed. Why does he want to? What advice do you want to give?
Okay.
All right.
Going back to when you decided to now return to Nigeria.
Yes.
Japa-da, right?
It was difficult to find my feet.
Yeah. But at this point, you chose to come back.
I chose to
But your wife didn't want to come back to Nigeria.
Yes, that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
No, because by that time, most of our friends have left Nigeria. Because that was the era of Andrew, remember? So most of our colleagues in the university system have gone to teach in America, some have gone to Saudi Arabia, who are doctors and so on. So my wife asked, logically, who will keep her company in Nigeria? Because I travel a lot. And then there's armed robbery and so on, you know, and all the activities we used to be involved in, like going to the cinema or going to theater, no longer exist because people are afraid to go out at night. So she said, what will she be doing in Nigeria?
So for her, coming to Nigeria was not going to be home.
No.
But it was going to be for him.
Yes.
Home. So they chose to stay, she stayed, because that's where she felt like staying the rest of her life. And he came back because that is home is where he wanted to spend.
Yes, that's right.
The rest of his life. So how has Japa-da been working out for you?
Wonderfully well.
Wonderfully well, he said, yeah.
And I've not only lived in Nigeria, I've lived in some other African countries.
Okay.
I lived in Benin Republic, Cotonou. And I've traveled all the time, you know.
To African countries?
Yes. There was a documentary film I made about the River Niger. I spent 10 years researching on that documentary. In fact, I think it's in Shakespeare that it says, you know, the benefits of adversity are great. Because I didn't have money for that research, I couldn't be flying about in planes. I have to travel with the people inside the Bolekaja and so on. You know, it took me 10 years of work, you know. So you can't be going into creativity, to arts, to make money. You know, if you become an artist, it's like you're entering a monastery. You have to discard worldly riches and concentrate on what matters. All right. So I did a lot of research on the origins of the various ethnic groups in West Africa as a whole, because we're one people. It's the colonialists that, you know.